Thanks for the link, Mark. I'll bookmark it. Oh, my glasses are dirty. Get your mic on.
I don't know. Do I?
I meant like clipped.
Oh, yeah. It's clipped.
Let's do a show, yo. All right. Well, good morning, everyone.
Are we live?
Yeah, we are.
Oh.
Howdy, y'all. It's Friday Live. I'm Mark.
And I'm Nicole.
And our daughter was really sick.
Yeah.
Well, still really sick.
She's
got
very sick.
fever, so we're dealing with
I'm
all that
watching her
stuff.
here, so I may be in and out depending on.
Yeah.
She's content right now watching Blue's Clues, and she said, "Mommy, go."
Keep it in a way that, like, if you have to leave an emergency or something, I can actually read the questions.
Okay.
Oh,
well,
hey,
I have them right here.
guess what?
Hey.
People, this might be a little bit shocking, right? Hold on.
It's shocking.
I don't want to reveal it too soon. You know, I do like to wear funny shirts and stuff like that.
Yeah.
So this might be shocking to people to see this.
No funny shirt.
There ain't nothing on that shirt.
But you're wearing old school twit.
Yeah, yeah. It's my twit jacket.
Yeah, that we got
from Leo Laporte.
back
Ages ago.
When you delivered the
Gadget
the
Station.
Gadget Station.
That was so long ago.
I know. You want to see a project build, 12 parts on the free site. That was actually the start, kind of the blueprint of the guild.
Yeah, that was definitely a proof of concept for the guild, for sure.
There
Yeah, I
you
thought about that. Like, I love doing projects for the guild. I'm not going to stop doing that. But I also wondered, I wonder what would happen if, like, with guest instructors, we just packed the year, so it was like fully packed with projects, and I took the year off from the guild and simply just did what I would have done in the guild, but do it on the free site.
I don't know.
And just to see how, like, multi-part projects would perform
Yeah.
out there in the wild these days.
I don't know.
I don't know if that would be good or bad, or, like, does it really matter at this point? Who cares? Whatever.
It's all white noise.
Whatever I feel like doing, I'll just do it. If you like it, you like it. If you don't, you don't.
Yeah.
All right, well, hey, good morning, everybody. We have a couple of patrons to thank.
Yeah.
Patreon.com/woodwhispers, where you can go to help support the show. You know what I should do with some of that money? I should go cut my hair and get a shave. Because I kind of look almost like a person who just walked in off the street.
And I look like I've been up all night with a sick
kid.
child.
Yeah. Okay, so Taylor Schmid. Oh, yeah. That's a person's name on here.
Oh, yeah.
Jaroslaw, Sean Fickey, Bob Spear, Danny Cecil, and Tom Will. I might have some repeats at the end there. But thank you so much, everybody. We really appreciate the support. And again, patreon.com/woodwhisper if you want to help out. We always appreciate it.
And I have gotten emails from people that said that they're stopping Patreon because they don't like some of the business
yeah, there's a whole
practices.
thing. There was a whole big deal where they had...
And that's fine. It's okay.
yeah,
And
I can't remember the whole story, but someone was basically taken off of Patreon for having certain viewpoints or whatever.
And I've been trying to get the membership stuff set up on YouTube, but even though we are eligible, apparently we're not eligible.
Yeah.
Doesn't make any sense.
Well, the Offcuts channel is
Yes.
not. I'm
Well,
sure.
no, we meet all the criteria.
No. What I'm saying is, I'm sure if we wanted to do it on the Wood Whisperer channel, we probably could get it done faster.
Yeah.
But they're just rolling the feature out, so
Yeah.
it should be available soon. Maybe we'll make use of it. What was the other thing I wanted to say? I don't remember.
You don't
Maybe we should
remember.
just answer. Oh, I know what I wanted to say.
Oh, okay.
So we still have about 6 days left on the pre-order bonus. So if you didn't hear about this, you haven't been following any of my social channels, you might have missed it.
Might have a sick kid.
Yeah, you may have had a sick kid. You may have been paying attention to your family, God forbid. So yeah, we have a new book coming out. So in March, Essential Joinery will come out, and you have 6 more days to pre-order it from us and get a free guild project in the process. And it's a fantastic deal. Lots of people have taken advantage of it. So if you're even remotely interested in this book, this is the way to do it. Go to essentialjoinery.com, and you can pick either from a bundle, which will contain the new book and my old book, Hybrid Woodworking, together. They will not ship until the new book comes out, so you're going to have to wait for that. Or you can get the book alone, Essential Joinery alone. You get a free guild project. The influx of new guild members has been insane, which we're not used to. I mean, the guild is a slow growth sort of thing, so it's a little weird when we suddenly get these big bumps. Kind of crazy.
And just to reiterate, the book will not ship until March. Please don't email us asking us where your book is.
You know that's going to start soon, right? Has the book shipped yet?
Yes.
Do you have it in your hands yet? Then no. Yeah, it's people don't always read all the details.
It happens.
That's what happens. It happens, Nicole.
It does.
Like, okay,
right.
what's up next?
So we got a question over on Patreon from Mike Davies, and these are all preloaded questions I asked yesterday. I will be pulling questions from the YouTube chat as well, as long as my daughter doesn't cry.
Yeah.
Hey guys, it's been a while. I've a sharpening question this week. I've got a 1000/6000 combo water stone that I've managed to put big gouges in, and I don't have a flattening stone. Can I use sandpaper on a piece of glass and smear the stone around until it's flat? Or what grit and type of sandpaper should I use? Oh, if so.
Yeah.
If not, how would you flatten a stone without something specifically designed for it?
You answered your own questions there, Mike. Yes, absolutely. Piece of sandpaper. A flat piece of granite, like a granite tile or a piece of glass, works just fine. Yeah, throw that sandpaper down and get yourself the wet dry sandpaper, the grayish black colored material. Go for the lowest grit that you can find, maybe like a 220, 320. They don't go super low in that type of sandpaper typically. But yeah, throw that down on the sandpaper, and I would actually wet it down, put some water behind the sandpaper, and that'll help it stick to the plate. And then take your stones, just like you said, smear it around. Smear it around. Here's the other thing with your water stones. You probably should try to do that flattening process after every use. If you do it after every use, then you don't have this like major gouge situation unless you just really, I don't know, you try to sharpen while you were drunk. Shouldn't be a problem generally. And then you're sitting there for 5 minutes trying to flatten stones.
We got a super chat from Pat Kavanaugh.
Oh.
A little something for Dougie and Millie treats. Sorry, a little for their treats, and to say thank you for selecting for the Titebond giveaway.
Well, we didn't select them.
I
Right?
did. Well, the
Titebond did.
No, I did.
Oh, Ava's.
Oh, I'm gonna have to go. He won our big giveaway yesterday.
Oh.
I haven't had a chance to update it. So Pat, congratulations.
Yeah, congratulations. What's he get? A whole bunch of glue?
A ton of glue, like gallons and gallons and gallons of glue.
That's fantastic.
So. thewoodwhisperer.com/giveaway is where the details of that giveaway. You missed it. Sorry. Pat won.
Well, of course, we'll have more in the future.
We will.
Point.
Yes, we will. So I'm going to go check on Ava, and you can read Danny's and
She's
go
not
on.
calling you now. You might not have to go. Is she stable?
Maybe.
We got a visual on her.
I don't hear her now.
Okay.
I'll just go check on her. How about that? I'll be a good parent on camera.
That's the only reason you're doing it. It's because people are watching. Okay, here we go. So Kevin Windsor says, hey, M&N, just learned Type-On sells TiteWrap, a stretch tape for holding odd shapes while gluing. I've used slightly stretchy tape from StuMac. TiteWrap looks a lot different. Are you familiar with it? They sent me a couple of samples. I don't think I have any more lying around. It is a very specialized case material, right? So if you have just an oddball glue up that if you can imagine successfully tying like a band clamp around it and applying pressure and it working for you, it will work. So if you have like odd chair parts or you're gluing, that's one of the best examples. You always see them refer to that one. Dude, she's got like 3/4 of a coffee here and I've got like nothing. If there wasn't all that sugar in there, I would probably steal it. So you can actually use it to wrap around. So it's rubbery, sort of stretchy, and it's got a pretty good grip to it. It's not adhesive necessarily, but it's just very grippy. So certain situations, it's going to be great. I did try it on a couple of things where I thought it would work, where I was I'm trying to remember exactly what it was. You know what it was? The Maui hook. My son had finally, there was like a point in there where there was like a sap pocket that eventually just finally broke. So I was trying to glue that back together. Now we're talking about this Maui hook that has a very weird oblong shape, and I'm trying to get the top half with the hook and the bottom half with the handle, getting that back together to follow the fracture point on there. So I put epoxy in it, thinking, all right, well, let me now wrap it with this stuff. It didn't work that well. And part of the reason is because that joint can kind of just slide a little bit. So as I was applying pressure, couldn't get it to do what I wanted it to do. So in that case, it was unsuccessful, but I think it was just my fault for using it the wrong way or on a situation that just wasn't ideal. If I were gluing in chair parts, things that actually have interlocking joinery, and just really oddball stuff. So it's probably not a bad thing to have around, because there's gonna be that one day where you go, man, I wish I had a way to put these together. No clamp is gonna help me here, and that would technically or potentially solve the problem.
Did you skip over Danny's?
I did.
Danny says, I have another bandsaw question. I have a Minimax. I can't go up and down those steps without losing my breath.
Well, we are at elevation here, Nicole. Danny says, I have another bandsaw question. I have a Minimax 16-inch bandsaw. Hey, how about Minimax?
What about them?
Those are, I used to really, like, my first big bandsaw purchase was a Minimax bandsaw.
Yep.
And then I got a Powermatic, and I've been happy ever since.
Yeah.
That's what they pay me to say.
No, they don't.
No, seriously, Minimax makes some really good stuff, but man, that PM 1500 is a joy.
Is that
to use.
the 1500 over there?
Is that what it is? PM 1500?
Yeah, 1500.
We did this the other day. We took inventory of all the tools, and trying to remember all the PM stuff is it's a little bit complicated. But yeah, that is a gorgeous saw. Anyway, sorry, Danny. I'm just saying I like your saw. When I first got it, I expected to do a lot of resawing, but as it turned out, I mostly use it for cutting gradual curves and joinery. Since I hate changing bandsaw blades, I like to figure out a good general purpose blade that will work great for what I do the most, but would be okay for occasional resawing. What blade configuration would you recommend? Wide blade for resawing. It's a bit of a misconception. I have seen, namely David Marks, use a 1/2-inch blade for resawing some of the most insanely hard, exotic, valuable material, and he's sawing it into veneer. So you don't necessarily need a whole lot of body to that blade to get the job done. So if you go with like a 1/2-inch or 3/8 blade, you could still do quite a bit of resawing when the time comes. And I still think, you probably want to have a decent tooth count. Maybe, shoot, I tend to go toward the more aggressive ones because I want it to be a nice, easy, and quick cut, especially if I do a resaw. I don't want a ton of teeth in the mix because that's just, more heat, more buildup, more friction. So I don't know, I think I have like a 3 tooth per inch right now. It's fairly aggressive and that works just fine for me.
So hold up.
Hold up.
We have somebody in the chat room that I think works for Dragon Con. So Scott Harmon just said, whenever anyone asks when the Dragon Con app will be updated, it is an occasion to drink. I think I'll do the same with the questions about Mark's new book. Which is, so I noted your comment because I used to work the podcasting track at Dragon Con.
Yes.
That was rough. So
it was rough for me watching her do it.
I know. For free.
For free. It was the worst job that you've ever had. That I never paid.
Never paid a cent.
Good old Dragon Con.
We got a super chat from Alan. Is it Lilich? Did I say that right?
Sure.
I think so.
That's how I would say it.
Number of books for the first 100 pre-orders?
The number of books for the first 100 pre-orders?
What does that mean?
100. I don't know. Is that a trick question,
I don't know
Alan?
what
I'm
that
not sure.
means.
The number of books for the first 100 pre-orders.
100.
Since the only pre-orders are for the book, then I would estimate about 100.
Yeah, maybe.
Just doing some quick math in my head. Probably 100. I'm sure we misunderstand.
Is my mic not working?
I don't know. They're plugged in. That's all I can tell you.
Tippity tap. Shouldn't there be? Oh yeah, I'm
It's
working.
working.
I'm working.
Don't listen to Nicole.
I'm working.
Don't listen to them. I got this.
Okay.
I am a master at the controls here. Ignore those people.
All right. Mike's working fine. He asked if you would number the first 100.
I guess.
Yeah, sure.
Is that going to make the people make them more valuable?
I don't know.
Well, they're not. They won't be the first 100 off the printer. They would simply be the first 100 that I sign. But look, here's the thing. I have at this point, I would estimate that I'm going to be signing. What is she doing?
She just took her diaper off.
Oh, lovely.
So she doesn't want anything on her body right now.
At this point right now, my estimation is that I'm going to be signing at least 4,000 books.
Yeah.
I might not be worried about numbering things.
Yeah.
I've got special requests to draw wieners and to draw on my face and do funny things that I'm going to try to do.
Yeah.
Though I'm not sure I'm going to be able to do a numbering thing. But hey, if enough people ask for me to number the first 100, I do think there might be something special for the very first one.
There you go.
Maybe I'll do something special. Maybe I'll find Alan's order and make that the first one, since he asked. Okay, so Larry wrote in. He said, "What manufacturer do you use for table saw blades? Where do you get them re-sharpened? I have been sending them to Forrest for re-sharpening, but it seems they grind quite a lot of material from the blades, making them I've been using for necessarily like really closely examine the teeth when I get them back. I just throw it back in the saw. It's like, yep, that's sharp now. So yeah, I have been using Forest for years and using them to sharpen for years. I actually just got an email this morning. I think it's Infinity sent an email about Ridge Carbide, and they've got a blade that's kind of in a comparable price point, you know, north of $100, and seems like it's a pretty decent brand. I've been using, actually, what do they call it? Oh, what's his name from? Oh shoot, the Very Super Cool Tools people, Alan, I believe is his name. They have been distributing lights blades, and I think actually right now on my saw I have a lights blade, and I've been happy with that too. I mean, bottom line, honestly, you can get really picky about these things, but I think if you're in that north of $100 price range and you're into the top end Freud or Tenru, Forest, Lights, Ridge, all those brands, I think if you poll this chat room and did sort of a blind test, I don't think very many of us could tell you the difference between them in terms of cut quality. They're all going to be pretty darn good. You know, the other thing for sharpening, always look local. If you could find a local sharpener that actually does a good job with table saw blades and has experience, has good reviews, that is always a great resource if you could find one. I remember there was a guy in Arizona, I never used him, but there was a person in Arizona who was known for his sharpening skills, and a lot of people just sent that to him. All right, where are we now? Chuck Hart says, I had some questions last weekend on a guild order and used the sales support function on the website. I didn't get an answer, so wondering if someone could contact... Okay, if I would have read this, I would have handled this differently and not read it on the show. Generally, all support questions are answered. My mom is the one who answers them. She has requested that people understand that she's really the only one handling that, so she'll get to all of the inquiries as soon as possible. If she missed it, you may just resubmit the question. We're not going to email you directly, but just email her now. Things are now slowing down with the pre-orders, so if there's a chance that something could have gotten lost in the shuffle. But if you have a sales support question, that is really the only way to get support for that. Okay, Mark Olivier Bastian says, I'm starting to get questions that I should have pre-read before reading on the show.
I am thankful for these preloaded questions, though.
Yeah.
Whew.
Okay, so hi guys, not so much of a question as a remark. Oh, this is a good one. I love when you used to make funny little sketches or a doodle in your video. Doodle? In your videos. Did I ever doodle in a video?
I don't think so.
I don't think so. When you cross-dress for your guild build, well, let's not discuss that one. We are now limited. I'm limiting them, Nicole.
Yeah.
To small things like the end of your last video. You should go see what YouTuber from up north, like, I can't even pronounce him, but I know who you're talking about.
Boys.
It's so funny. I'm sure I'm not the only one that appreciated those little things. Well, here's the thing, Mark. The little things are getting even littler.
Yep.
I have just evolved to a point in my life where I prefer to have very subtle, clever, snarky sort of humor that is there and can be appreciated if one understands the joke. If I ever feel inclined to do a skit, I'll do one. That's the key to all of this. When I first started this, I remember my mom.
Full of life.
I was so young, so full of life, and then YouTube came along and absolutely stepped on my heart. No, seriously, I remember when I started, my mom would ask me, how long can you keep this up?
Yeah.
Like, she knows, like, generally, like, if you're in a group of friends, I might be one of the funny guys in the group. I'm never the funniest guy, but, yeah, I can make people laugh. I think.
You're a goof.
That's the only reason reason I landed Nicole.
It really is. He made me laugh.
It
was like, hey, look at my cool car. I'm like, I don't care about the car.
This car's stupid. I
don't
dated
like
a guy who had a car like
car
that,
is...
so I hate those cars. I'm like, well, fine. I'll finally get a truck. But yeah, my mom would ask me, like, how long can you keep this up? Like, writing jokes and skits and stuff like that. And I'm like, until I don't want to do it anymore. And you know, I'm 41 years old now. My humor has evolved, and I just don't feel inclined to do slapstick skits. If that's right.
Your inspiration is like Seinfeld. like
subtle. Well, that has always been the case.
Yeah.
But in the woodworking world, at the time in 2006, I felt the woodworking world needed a jolt, a like in the butt injection of stupidity, right? And that was my goal at the time, was to shake things up. And no one was doing that because there was no YouTube at the time. So if like now we're in a situation where there are people who do that, there are people who don't. There are people who make such good artistic, not only projects, but their videos are just a joy to watch. I don't watch them, but I hear that. Those are the things that, that's the great thing about it. So I honestly appreciate that you like that early stuff. But I'm not a comedian.
Truth be told, we have watched some other skits and we're like, do we look like that?
That's exactly it. When I watch someone who kind of goes that extra mile to really try to make you laugh, and they go through this skit, and there's times where I just feel bad for them, right? And this is just maybe the evolution of us as people and our humor. And I go, yeah, you know what? We do look like that. But some people like it, and some don't say. Anyway, it's a very long answer. I mean, it's something we think about when we talk about these things.
That's a good question.
But you know what? It's like the way the business runs, our family time, things like that. Yeah. I'm lucky just to get my ass in the shop and build stuff. Like, that's my primary function in life, is to build stuff and to teach people. If I can make them laugh along the way, that's the bonus. That's not the requirement that it was in 2006.
Yeah.
Sorry, that was way too long of an answer.
We got a question in the chat room from the queue. Do you often have any experience with trying to get a good dust collection from a router sled?
No. Like, router sled, is he talking about like a flattening jig? Because that's really hard. Generally speaking, your router is sitting on a thing that's like spanning 2 bars, right? And when the bit goes below the platform, there's no way to suck the chips up from above. There's just not enough air movement there, so all the chips are just kind of going everywhere. I don't have a great solution. I'm sure someone could customize some kind of a hood that collects. It would kill visibility, but I imagine it's not all that different than how dust collection occurs on like a CNC. But I don't have any recommendations for that myself.
We have a super chat from, let's see, what's today? What's today? Oh, Tim Wise.
You know what I just thought of?
What?
I'm going to make that. I was dwelling on it, and I'm going to dwell on it more. One of the things that I love about the evolution of our videos is that we've evolved into a family.
Yeah.
So a lot of the stuff
could come from the dogs, or
would come from the dogs and the kids. So people who have kind of grown up with us and had families of their own with us will appreciate the family element. I mean, this show is a family show, which is something that we couldn't have really pulled off well in 2006. We didn't have kids for the longest time.
Yeah.
So
2011.
Right. So this is a fairly new thing for us, but that's one of my favorite things about when I can bring the kids into the show and make it a little bit more of a family thing.
So Alan Lilich did another super chat and said, yeah, sign and number first 100 pre-orders as a treat. Well, they're going to be signed no matter what. All of them.
I'm going to hide a wiener in the first 100.
No.
And number my wieners.
Stop it.
It's all about the wiener.
No, it's not.
Okay.
So, yeah, I'm going to make note of your name, Alan, and have Lorna make note of it on your order. And we'll do something for you.
Make sure you follow through on that promise,
I will.
sister.
I'm going to screen cap it, and she'll put it in his little note section.
Okay. In his little satchel. Okay.
Eric Kovac says, greetings, citizen. Mark, do you have a preferred brand and or style of chisel for general work? I am never satisfied with my chisel choice.
What chisels did you choose?
Yeah.
That's what I want to know. There are a lot of good chisel brands out there. I mean, I have my favorites.
Your Marples were good.
Marples were good. They were good paint can openers. That's for sure. I still have my Japanese chisels. Not everybody likes a Japanese style chisel. They just are. They're very specific. You gotta like them. To me, I actually like the look. That was the first thing that I gravitated toward them for. But I think just the amount of work that goes into making a Japanese chisel is just impressive to me. If you look on the back, you see how you have those hollows there? It's just a cool thing, right? Well, there's a functional reason that that's there as well, is because this steel tends to be harder. So lapping the back and flattening that takes a lot longer if it's a full flat back. So the hollows kind of help that happen a little bit faster. But just the way that the steel is layered, the look, they're not all identical. The handles might be slightly different diameters. So it's just, I felt it was like a more personal style of chisel. That said, I still love, you know, your standard Western chisels. And what I have been using lately are the Blue Spruce Toolworks. You know, this is a small maker. I guess you can call them a boutique maker, and they are just absolute works of art. So this is just the kind of thing that I considered, you know, a personal reward for myself. You don't need chisels like this to get good work done, but if you can afford them and you really want them bad enough, it will make the use of the chisel that much more fun because it looks amazing. So yeah, those are two brands. These are Fujiiro, by the way, if you're into the Japanese style chisels. Lee Nielsen makes a good set of chisels. The Stanley Sweethearts are supposed to be pretty good.
That you have.
Yeah, it's just as like a run-of-the-mill workhorse kind of chisel. The Narex is pretty nice.
I think I have those in our Amazon store too. There's a nice set for like
Two Cherries
$70.
make some different ones. Mom! Mom!
I'll be back. Where did you leave off? Dave Wiggins?
I read Mark's question.
Dave,
and
Jim.
took way too long to answer it.
Okay, so you're here now.
Okay, my buddy David Wiggins. He says, "Hi Mark, Festool question. I have the Rotex 150 and 90 as well as an ETS 125 RQ. My question is there a benefit to any of the random orbit 150 sanders to add to the collection, or can the Rotex do it all? I don't mind adding another sander since I have all the 150 papers. Curious on your thoughts." Well, here, I mean, it's just in terms of pure functionality, it's redundant. Okay, everything the Rotex does, or everything like an ETS 150 would do, the Rotex is going to do the same thing. I like the ETS better because it is the thing I do the most, and that's just simple finish sanding. Okay, so the Rotex can do that, but I find the Rotex size, balance, weight, all of that stuff actually makes it more difficult to use. Most people will throw the hose over their shoulder to kind of lift up the back end to make it a little bit more natural to sand. That's a pain in the butt for something that, as far as the Rotex features, maybe once a year do I actually flip that dial to Rotex and go, glad I got me a Rotex. Most of the time, my sanding is just finished sanding on flat material. So for me, an ETS 150 is just a smaller, more compact unit. It's easier on my wrists. I don't have to worry about where the hose is. It's nicely balanced. I don't have as much like little squiggly pigtails in the surface. So for me, ETS 150 all the way. I've got a Rotex, but it sits in the cabinet and gets used once a year. Let's see, so Jim Thompson says, I'm about to start the miter station project and would like to incorporate a router table into the far left side. Are there any reasons not to do this, or anything I should keep in mind to do this? I have a pretty small shop and feeling freeing up the floor space would be helpful. I don't really see any big issues with that. A lot of times I do like to get around my miter station, but I've got an Incra setup, and the Incra requires you to have quite a bit of back space behind it, so it wouldn't really work. But most normal router tables with just a simple fence that goes in T-tracks, I think you'd be perfectly fine with that. As long as the fence can move out of the way so that it's not in the path of the material you're putting down on the miter saw, I can't think of a reason why that would be a bad thing. It seems like it would conserve space. You'd actually have a pretty wide work surface to play with. I think it would be good. Excuse me, I'm stifling burps, and they're coming out anyway. Yeah, I say go for it. All right, next one from Corey. This is my last one on Patreon, so after this I'm going to have to start fielding from the chat if Nicole doesn't come back. Corey says, I know you answered this before, but I can't find the episode. You finished wood you sign with something before you sign it so that it doesn't bleed. How'd you do that? Okay. Didn't I do that on Friday Live, actually? I think I did it in a guild meeting and then maybe on a Friday Live. Anyway, I just use rattle can lacquer. So I have my little pieces of wood that I sign. I hit them with one coat of just, I think it's Deft brand from Home Depot. I like to use the satin. I don't want it to be super shiny. A very light coat of that seals the surface, and then I could write on it. Now, if you dwell in one spot too long with like a Sharpie or something, it will sort of start to reactivate that lacquer. So you just want to make sure you just move nice and continuously and quickly. And that works really well for me as far as pre-sealing it so that the ink doesn't kind of like hit the raw grain and just spread out and make it all smudgy looking. All right, so let me find the chat. By the way, taking live questions from the chat room is my least favorite way to do a show because most of the show is me doing this, staring down, looking for stuff. Oh, she's coming back? I think she's coming back. Good. I'm out of questions.
Okay. That was an up and down one.
Was it? I'm trying to read the stinking chat room.
Well, you're never going to be able to. That's why you
Sam Bowen says, 428 people watching and only 24 thumbs up?
What?
Well, here's the thing, Sam. What I find with people who make content on YouTube, you actually have to ask people to do things.
Yeah.
Right? Like, that's why almost every video from YouTuber is like, hey, be sure to subscribe. And my logic is, it's like, if you want to subscribe, that button's there, use it. I'm not going to ask you to do it.
You just did, though.
But, well, I think I've done it maybe once, maybe twice.
Click subscribe and ring that bell.
Yeah, smash that like button. Let us know what your favorite woodworking, what's your favorite woodworking tool in the comments. So let's do an experiment. On behalf of Sam, everybody go ahead and hit that like button, hit that thumbs up button so that we know you're there. And then, you know, when you're done, click subscribe and maybe click that bell so that you can be reminded whenever the show is live.
Well, I will say the bell does come in handy for people that...
Oh, it does come in handy.
Especially when they don't realize this is a separate channel from the main channel.
Sure, but I don't want to be up in their business.
I know.
If they want to click the bell, let them click the bell.
You're like an old Italian grandmother. I don't want to impose.
I don't want to impose. Oh, by the way,
you should eat.
Italian grandmothers have no problem imposing.
Okay. Maybe not Italian.
Your experience with Italian grandmothers seems limited.
Yeah, maybe it's the... I don't know.
My Italian grandmother, Mark, why you no sleep in my house? So because it smells like mothballs in here, Grandma, and your furniture's covered in plastic. That's why Mark no sleep in your house.
I had a grandma that had plastic furniture too.
Yeah, that's the best.
Thomas says, have you ever considered using a Tormek for sharpening chisels and planes? Any experience to share?
Yeah, I had the Tormek early on. I got one used from a buddy who was just selling off all his stuff. Had that one for a while.
And
then Jet
we've
came
worked
out
with
with
Tormek
one.
too in the past too.
Yeah.
We've given some away.
Yep, they were pretty good with that. Then I had a Jet version. Jet had one that was basically doing the same thing and just had the Jet label on it. And then I kind of went back to stones and stayed with stones. Basically, once the bevel is set and you have a nice little jig set up, it's so quick to be able to re-hone and re-sharpen my blades. I don't even think about breaking out the Tormek, filling the little water trough, making sure the stone is graded, all that stuff. That said, it is a great system. I've got one in a box in the attic up there that I need to take down.
Oh, yeah?
So right before they came out with their newest version, they said, here, have an old one. And I was like, well, I might use it at some point. We'll see. So yeah, I think they're great. The way sharpening systems generally work sharp, stones, whatever, I think it's best to find one you like and stick with it. And if it's Tormek and that does it for you, you got your sharpening system, move forward. But yeah, I think Tormek they've got a lot of great little add-ons. They've got a lot of great little things that help you sharpen skewed chisels, turning tools, stuff like that. Scissors, there's household things that can be sharpened on that. I think Tormek is a great system.
Andrew wants to know, how do you pre-send questions? If you are a supporter on Patreon at the $5 and up level, on Thursday, I'm going to start scheduling it Thursday morning. I put out a post and say, hey, got a question? Want to have it on the show? Drop it here. And that has come in handy many times as of today as a good example.
Slash did ask, is this in the Amazon store? They asked about the clock.
It is.
Okay, the clock is in our Amazon store.
Yeah.
That's amazon.com/shop/the Wood Whisperer.
And it's underneath Friday Live. So there's a category of Friday Live.
Yep.
And I try to put anything that we talk about on Friday Live in that category on the Amazon store, so it's easy for people to find.
Oh yeah, the clock is meant to be seen and never unseen, Gary. It's meant to be loud and obvious.
Yep, it's very
Hey, people ask for, look, don't say we don't reinvest in this show.
Those super chats bought that clock.
Some super chat people said, we would love to see a timestamp for the show, and Nicole made it happen. All right.
We do have some super chats. So I already did Eric's. Tim Y said, time to move Deadpool.
He's right.
Can we just put magnets on his poor little hands? I feel very, very bad for poor Deadpool. So while you're doing that, Jeff Collins says, I've been having a hard time getting out of the shop lately.
Getting out into the shop?
Out,
or getting out
in the shop.
Okay.
Having a hard time getting motivated.
Don't mind me, I'm just doing a little work.
To start new projects.
Mark, please don't work during the show.
Do you ever have this problem, and what do you do to get over it?
Yeah, we've answered this quite a few times.
Yeah. And this kind of transcends to pretty much anything. Getting the Christmas decorations packed away.
Well, anything, especially non-essential things, hobbies.
Yeah.
And people ask that all the time, like, I'm losing love for the hobby. What do I do? It's like, well, then lose love for it and find love in something else.
Yeah.
I don't believe in forcing yourself to do what you don't want to do. If you truly want to do it, then get in there and do it. That said, the same answer I kind of give all the time is, number one, shop projects. I find shop projects motivate me to be in the shop. I like improving my space. So building something specifically for the shop, it's easy, it's low risk, and you don't have to, it's like, it doesn't have to be perfect, it just has to work.
Yeah.
So shop projects are always a good thing. Sometimes just changing what I do while I'm in the shop. Maybe I want to listen to an audiobook.
Yeah.
You know, so sometimes shop time is exciting for me because I'm at a good part of an audiobook I'm listening to, and I want to get in there and start doing stuff so I can finish this book. Not that I condone watching things while you're in the shop, but a TV can keep you company in there too. It makes it part of this, like, hey, I'm doing my thing. So if I want to watch some football, old Seinfeld episodes, whatever, and again, I'm not actually watching, I'm just listening to these things, but if I glance over, I can see a score, I can kind of see what's going on. I could watch Lady J and Duke hanging out on the airfield when I'm watching old G.I. Joe episodes. Right? So that's just a few ideas for you.
Well, and I think too, for me, it's just a matter of getting started and not being overwhelmed with the whole thing and maybe focusing on a little thing. Like,
that's another part that I forgot to answer.
I'm just gonna, like with the Christmas decorations, I've been avoiding
Small
it. I
goals.
just don't. So I'm like, okay, I'm just gonna fill that one box right there. I'm just gonna fill that one.
Yeah.
And then when I get going, I'm like, okay, well, and I just kind of get going, and then I'm like, oh, I'm done.
Little goals.
So.
Plan out the project. Don't look at the end, the finish line. Look at what the next little victory is, and plan that to be your task while you're in the shop.
Yeah. Dominic says, just a friendly hello, and I wanted to say that Nicole is rocking the Facebook Guild group with the map and the Instagram links. Thank you, Dominic. Thank you. I'm glad you're in there. If you're not familiar, the Guild does have a private Facebook group, and I've worked really hard this week. They have this thing called units where you can actually help people know things. So I've been featuring some of our mentors in the mentorship, and it's a whole thing.
Why do you gotta complicate it by calling it units?
I don't know. That's what they called it.
Can't you just call it like a tab?
I don't know.
And there's info on that tab?
It just says
no, this is a unit.
So from what I gather from Facebook, the units are meant to be like almost like mini classes.
Yeah.
So you can create a unit called Welcome to the Guild, and I have all the stuff in the Guild, and then I have a unit called Meet the Mentor.
It's like writing a book about woodworking and coming up with a stupid name like hybrid woodworking.
Yeah. But yes, it's a great group. Everybody in there. There are rules. You just because you're in the Guild doesn't mean that you get to be permanent in the Guild group. You have to follow the rules. So
Ben says, more snark, maximum effort. Thank you, Ben. Yeah. See, and here's the thing. I think the change, the evolution, attracts new and different people.
Yeah, sure.
And that if I did a stupid skit, might go, oh, dude, that was rough.
Yeah.
Like, why did you do that?
Bob Wetzel just said,
yes.
Hey, Mark and Nicole, love the show. Mark, is there a benchtop joiner you would recommend? I have a small shop, so space saving is a priority.
Sorry, just in general, I mean, I understand budgets and space, considerations like that. You have to look at those smaller benchtop joiners. But I would almost rather not do woodworking than use a benchtop joiner.
Really?
It's just because they are not, I mean, by nature, they have to be small, fairly portable. The tables are generally very difficult to keep aligned. They're usually very short. But I'm gonna pass on this one and hopefully let someone in the chat room with actual experience with this category of tool to give you a recommendation. I'm completely unfamiliar with them. I just know my experience that I have had with them was absolutely terrible, and I wouldn't want to do it myself. And that's a very terrible answer. But hopefully someone can give you some useful info in the chat.
Paul's funny. He goes, "Are we sure the clock works? It always seems to say Friday."
He's right.
Yes.
Very, very observant of him.
We got a question from Jedi Wizard. Cool name, by the way.
Yeah.
Recently finished an indoor table inspired by your rustic table design. Having some issues with the oil-based poly. Is there something tougher that I can use as a top coat or more oil poly?
More coats can work. I mean, depending on what you're doing. If it's an outdoor table, then there are other finishes out there like epiphanes, and you know, you might even look into, you know, tabletop epoxy if you're really looking for something that's like super hard. Do they still make Balin's rock hard tabletop varnish? That's something that people used to use a lot. That just has a higher solids in it and is just, you know, per coat.
What is it called?
More
Balin's?
Behlens.
Balin's lacquer?
Rock hard.
Oh, rock hard table. Yeah.
Boom, baby.
Right there.
$30.
I will add it to the Friday Live category.
So, yeah, I mean, I've never used that stuff myself, but I've heard a lot of people talk about it as like, if you're in the oil-based varnish world, that's a good option. That's like a step shy of jumping up to like a pourable epoxy.
So it says urethane varnish. Is that the same as oil?
It's oil-based. Yeah. Urethane. It has urethane in it. It's a
stuff is
polyurethane.
Stuff is so confusing.
Finishing is confusing. Someone should write a book to demystify this stuff, Nicole. It's not going to be me, I can tell you that much. Yeah, especially with all the hard wax oil formulations, I'm more confused about finishing than I ever was. It's redonkulous.
Redonkulous. Yeah. We also have a question from Tim JB. Where did you get the backboard behind you with the rabbets in them, or did you have to make the rabbets?
Lowe's.
Lowe's.
And there's no way I'd be making all kinds of rabbets on these things.
Rabbets.
It's T111 siding is what you want to look for.
T111.
My Home Depot doesn't carry it, but my Lowe's does.
Home Depot.
Home Depot.
Home Depot. John Ponto says, thoughts on ROS paper? I have mostly Reuben 2 and Abernet for my Festool ETS 150. And Rotex both tend to leave swirlies.
You know, trying to identify what's causing the swirl stuff, it's a little tricky to do that in this venue. A lot of times it can be not spending enough time on one grit before moving to the next. It can also be, go back to his question. This goes back into an answer that I had for someone else recently. We were talking about the Rotex. It was for David's question. So he has a Festool ETS 150 and Rotex. Okay. So I mentioned this before. One of the reasons I don't use the Rotex is because I tend to get a lot more of those little swirlies. If you're still getting them with the ETS 150, then you can kind of rule out those elements that the Rotex brings to the table, and now you're talking about things like, am I spending enough time from one grit to the other? How am I holding the sander? Am I moving it too fast? A lot of people, I'm guilty of this too, and so is Norm. When you watch Norm sand something, he's like, like this. That's really fast, right? You got to give the tool enough time to do what it's supposed to do and create that random orbit pattern. Generally speaking, you want to aim for like an inch per second, right? So that's moving like this. It really is tough to make yourself go that slow, but you should be going that slow.
Listen to a book.
Listen to an audiobook. Take your time. Put on a football game or watch Seinfeld. So it may not be the paper that's causing the problem. It could be the technique. But that said, I still have an old stock of Reuben paper that I've been using, and I have some of the granite stuff as well. And I think once I'm done with all the Reuben, I probably will just use granite exclusively. Festool's granite paper is fantastic.
Caitlin wants me to add the stone and system to our Friday Live tool area.
Okay, it's not in Friday Live, isn't it? It's got to be in one of our other sections.
Well, yeah, but I have a special section because those other sections are kind of big.
Okay,
too.
so just for anything that's
mentioned
on the show.
Yeah, what was it?
What?
Shapton.
And we talked about the Tormek.
Shapton sharpening. Because don't they have like a kit or something?
A kit? Don't they have like a kit? Well, no, there's the Shaptons.
Is that the one?
Yeah.
But that's only one, right?
Yeah, you're not. I don't think they are. You're not going to usually find them together.
That's Hanukukuma.
Something I don't know. Here's the thing. I haven't bought Shapton in years. When you search for the Shapton stones, there's a company, and it's clearly like a Japanese company or Chinese company. that
Kuromaku.
has their name on it, and it looks like the sharpened stones, and they
Yeah.
are ceramic stones. And they come in colored cases and everything. I don't know. I don't know what the deal is. Someone who's more familiar with those companies, let us know if that's pretty much the same thing, where they bought out by another company. What is the dilly?
What is the deal? Sorry.
Good one.
Because I think I do have it. Don't we have?
Someone just asked, what's the cost of shipping the book to Germany? If you actually go through
It's
the
like
checkout,
$30, right?
yeah, but if you go through the checkout process and put your information in there, you don't have to check out completely to find out the shipping cost. I think it's either like $38.
I think it's 30.
$40.
Something like
it's not
it's
cheap.
whatever you put. Like, we're not padding this.
No, we don't pad our shipping. We basically find out how much it's going to cost.
This is when people realize that Amazon has ruined them.
Yes, it absolutely has. Well, it's ruined us.
Yeah.
Oh, look at that. That looks like a multi-pack, huh?
And it's the
See?
Hanukuku.
But Sharpened is the leading name.
Oh,
So
well,
it looks
there
like
you
a
go.
set. There you go.
So I'll just add this one to Friday Live.
And then if they want to go find other entries in the store, they can.
Yeah.
What the heck was I? It just right up my brain. It was in there. Now it's gone.
Chat room, remind us.
I
Rewind.
was in the middle of saying something.
I know you were. I'm sorry. I distracted you.
You did?
Yeah, I don't remember.
We'll find another question.
Okay, I'll do
Because this is
that.
going to get awkward, Nicole.
We were talking about the Friday, adding stuff to the Amazon store. Terrace, I think this should be our last question because we have a dog groomer coming.
Oh, we do. Dougie's getting the bed.
I might have one super chat, but we'll answer Terrace's
Okay.
question. Any recommendations on brands/sizes of jointers? Looking to buy my first one, and I want a large enough one to fit my needs. Big price jump from the 6 to 8 inch, and is the length of bed important?
Well, 6 to 8 inch is a big jump in price, but it's a good one. You have to think in terms of what are the boards you're getting, right? And for me, most of the boards I buy are between 6 and 8 inches wide. So I like the idea of at least an 8-inch jointer because I don't have to cut my boards down in order to joint them or do any weird stuff to get one side flat. Length is actually really important. The bed length is what allows you to joint longer boards more easily. So there's ways around it if you have a shorter bed. That's why we just talked about the tabletop, benchtop jointers, and the difficulties using them is because the beds are short and they're narrow. So if you can get the 8-inch, go for it. Most of the beds that come with 8-inch jointers and even 6-inch jointers are long enough. Back in the day when I really splurged and bought my first real big jointer, I bought a Powermatic 6-inch jointer. And the reason I went with the Powermatic at the time was because they were the only company to have beds that were like a few inches longer than the rest. I don't know if that's still the case, but their 6-inch jointer was the longest bed on the market at the time. Again, Powermatic is a sponsor of the show, not just because they are a sponsor and we have a financial relationship, but because I sought out their tools well before the Wood Whisperer show existed. So I still believe in their products, and I think Powermatic is a great brand. Doesn't mean there aren't other good brands out there. So you could look at Grizzly if you want a little more bang for the buck, but also potentially a little bit more potential for a lemon, and maybe not the best build quality. I hear hit or miss things with regard to.
Do you have a helical head on yours too?
I do indeed, yeah.
Yeah, the
helical
Shelix.
Yeah, helical heads are fantastic. You don't need them though, right? If you're looking to save money.
Look, they even have a 6-inch jointer with a helical cutter head.
They do.
Should I put one of these in?
Yeah, go ahead. Put that one in there.
This one right here. Okay.
Sure. And
not that you're buying it from the store, but I'll add it to the store.
It's a frame of reference.
Yes. Yeah.
And there are plenty of other good brands. Jet has some jointers. Delta has jointers. I mentioned Grizzly already. Who am I forgetting? Some of the more common brands out there. But and again, like I said, you don't need a helical head. Straight knife can get the job.
You have a 6-inch. Do you wish you had an 8-inch?
All the time, Nicole. Story of my life. You know what I'm saying?
Jointer.
Are you saying this? Are you proposing this as a potential thing? Because I actually
He's asking.
I have an 8-inch jointer.
Oh, I thought you had a 6.
No, I have an 8.
Oh, okay.
I had a 6 back when we were in California.
Oh, okay.
And I got the 8-inch when we moved to Arizona.
Your recommendation is
go with the 8 if you can. But don't feel bad if you have to get the 6 for budget reasons.
How long did you have the 6?
A long time. You can get by with a 6-inch jointer quite nicely. I would say that the upgrade from a benchtop jointer to a 6-inch is light years better and bigger than the upgrade from a 6-inch jointer to an 8-inch jointer. And we're still trying to get. I'm trying to get a 12-inch jointer. Why? Because I want one.
I'm clutching my pearls now.
Yeah. Oh.
Jason.
Oh, it's getting a little bit misty in here, Nicole.
Right.
You're making me blush.
Yeah. Tom said, "Aren't Jet and Powermatic owned by the same company?" Yes, they are. And they also have a portable.
He said
power.
Now they've been
for a long
under the same umbrella for a very long time.
What is it? PW.
JPW.
JPW.
You know, you figure if we say at least 26 letters, we're eventually gonna get all three.
I had it in my head.
We don't usually refer to them by that. We deal, even though they're the parent company,
Yes.
we generally deal with Powermatic.
And sometimes Jet.
Yeah.
So, because there are things like the clamps. Powermatic doesn't make clamps, so we have Jet clamps.
It's their product line is interesting to see what they do and don't make. Like there's no Powermatic spindle sander.
We have 3 more super chats, and then we're
we
going to
can
wrap
close
it
it
up, and I'll go give the dogs to the lady.
Give the dogs to the lady. Please do.
And you're low on battery.
Tell her she can keep them.
Bye.
Bye, Nicole. Thanks for your help today. I'm going to drink your coffee, even though it has sugar in it. Okay, so John says, so it's Norm's fault? Thanks for the tip. It is. When I watch Norm use a random orbit sander, I want to run from the room. It's if you ever had a chance, I'm not saying this is the case. I'm postulating a theory that if you ever actually were able to look closely at one of his finished pieces, you would likely see a lot of sanding swirls, especially because he liked to stain his work. You know, not that I'm criticizing. I absolutely love Norm, and he could do no wrong, except for that sanding thing. Okay, Morgan Yulin says, my Japanese chisels fracture when doing mortises. Is it worth it to get dedicated mortise chisels like Lee Nielsen? Do they last longer when hammering down? I can't tell you that it's worth it. There's a good chance, though, that it will be if you're doing a lot of mortises. I think didn't I talk about these in the last show? Almost the same question. These are so heavy duty, they're so thick and substantial that they just really lend themselves well to smacking down really hard into a mortise, which is a lot of pressure on a blade. So I am absolutely in favor of someone who does a lot of mortises upgrading to a set of mortise chisels.
Psych, I'm back.
Oh, here we go. All she does is take the dog out to the
I know.
little trailer
Yeah.
out there, give him a little scrubby dub-dub.
Yep, trim their nails.
Millie's nails. She's got some jacked up nails. It's really hard to trim them back safely without hurting her. So they're like, I don't know. She just looks awful.
She's like
She looks like one of those
a dragon.
Guinness World Records people with the goofy fingernails.
Did you get everything?
I got to those two.
Morgan and John?
Yep.
Now it's XOXO-AJ.
Yes.
Did you see any issue with using the far side of the bit at a router table? Obviously, you would feed the opposite way, but are there any safety issues?
I don't understand that question.
Far side of the bit, far side of the moon. I don't know.
I need a point of reference. When you say the far side, I don't understand the nature of the question. Clearly, it's a safety issue he's talking about.
Far side of the bit.
Send us another thing. Maybe email me or something. I'm glad to answer the question. I just need a little more information.
If I see you in the chat, XOXO, I will add to that. Yeah. We do have just came in super chat.
Let's do it.
Let's do it. Justin
Hill said
Justin, you didn't say anything.
He said, here's some money. I've got nothing to say.
Let me see if I can find him. Where is he at? Sometimes they
put the question in the chat, right?
Justin Hill.
Looking for Justin's questions.
Justin Hill. Nope, I don't see anything.
Well, Justin, you know the drill, dude. You got a question? Feel free to ask it.
Oh, while we're waiting on that, Josh said we should get a mesh network. We do. We have one.
What makes him think we don't
I
have
don't know.
Josh, why are you making assumptions about my Wi-Fi setup? How dare you?
Justin, where are you? I don't see
Not
it. Oh, no,
only-
there he is. Forgot to add text to my super
Okay,
chat.
there we go.
Curious, is a shelving rabbet have any advantages over a dado?
Someone's ringing the doorbell.
Ah, crap.
Maybe. I mean, in most cases, a dado is fine. So the question is, even if a rabbit gave you something more, is it worth it to do it? I don't think so. I mean, for most applications, assuming I understand we're talking about like maybe a bookcase with shelves in the sides, dado is captured and then it's glued. It's not going anywhere, you know. But I think if you were really to break it down maybe and do some kind of side-by-side and you put a rabbet into this sort of rabbeted groove in the side. More glue surface, maybe it is technically stronger, but I don't think it's worth the additional effort that it might take to do it.
Our doorbell's dumb. There's nobody there.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm just running all over the place.
So yeah, back to the Wi-Fi. Not only do we have a mesh network, we actually I've got a direct cable connection here.
We're piped in directly to
Google. We're hardwired, baby. Yeah, Google's got a tube coming right into our house. No, I use Wi-Fi for some of these little like peripheral things. But our stream is connected with a wire.
Alex,
Wi-Fi in here, yo.
Alex, I have not gotten your package yet because I haven't had a chance to get to the store or mailbox. So I will do that. I promise. I'll have it for next week.
It's at the P.O. box.
So is next week? What's next week?
It's the week after.
So this is the last Friday live to do the pre-order.
Is it? Yeah. I think we have like 6 days. I think the next 16th time is Thursday, maybe.
Yeah. So the next time you see us, the pre-order will be done.
Yeah.
I don't know what's wrong with me. I'm like back and forth.
Well, it's a lot of running.
It is a lot of running.
Someone asked about Beadlock. I'll answer that real quick. That even came up in the one of the groups recently. I used Beadlock earlier before Rockler owned it. It was okay. If you're looking for a reasonable way to use a drill to make joinery that's kind of like dowels and kind of like dominoes, but not really, it's not great, and it is not going to give you the kind of like precision that you get, for instance. Most people looking at the Beadlock are just looking for...
What is Beadlock?
It's a jig that allows you to drill...
I thought it was like putty, like, like you put in like the little gun, like bead.
No, Nicole. It's not even close.
It's just what it sounds like it would be.
Thank you for playing.
That's what it sounds like it would be.
No. So basically it's a jig with these holes really close to one another. So when you're drilling, you're actually drilling for a tenon. And that tenon is a Beadlock tenon, kind of like you have to buy a domino, a pre-made domino. The Beadlock tenons are just these kind of undulating grooved pieces that go right in there. The fit isn't really that snug. It tends to be a little bit, a little bit loose. And if you're joining two pieces, let's say that you want to have perfectly flush, you're probably not going to get them dead flush in the way that like you might be used to if you have used a domino. That said, if you're using it as a joinery option, there is nothing wrong with the Beadlock. It works just fine. But don't expect it to do what a domino does, let's say. But if you're looking for a quick way to make a decent mortise and tenon and you want to use your drill to do it, I don't see anything wrong with it. It works. I just think people get disappointed in it when their expectations are in the wrong place.
Like, I would be very disappointed in it because I thought it was like glue.
Well, she would be expecting glue and she gets a drilling jig. I would be very disappointed in that as well.
I just want to say, quick enough said, at the risk of sounding like a fanboy, I just got the Morris chair build project. It is by far the best set of videos relating to woodworking I have ever watched.
Well, thank you.
I thought that was a really nice compliment. So
Wait till you see the dining chair.
Yeah.
That's one of my favorites, I think.
Is it?
It's one of the ones I'm most proud of.
Really? I didn't know that.
Because we covered a lot of design elements.
Yeah.
I showed exactly how I came from here's chairs we own, here's what I want this thing to do, how do I take elements of these things and put them into it, and chairs are complicated.
Yeah,
so it was a fun build and one that just
they look like they would be easy, but then I think once you get into them, they're like...
Yeah. You like how we just made him feel bad because he got the wrong chair?
No!
I should have gotten the other one.
No.
But the Morris chair is good too.
I like the Morris chair.
Bent lamination.
Upholstery
through tenons. That was when my mom's friend Chris came over and did some upholstery for us.
Yeah.
I don't feel like leaving. I don't want to go inside. There's nothing in there but a sick child and one frantic dog.
Pull this back up.
One frantic dog who's upset that the other dog isn't in the house with them. There's nothing good in there for me. The only thing waiting in there for me is Ashley turning.
Yeah.
And look, once you've seen one bowl turned, you've seen them all. Let me tell you.
That's not true. She's amazing.
Let me tell you about this. This turning series, I haven't watched a lot of turning videos. Back in the day, I had a couple of turning DVDs. Remember, I watched a few of those on bowl turning. But I haven't spent extensive time in the world of turning videos. So I can't really say with absolute experience, but I'm going to venture to guess that this is going to be awesome. It's so good, and the amount of detail and the amount of time, the elapsed time that we're spending on this to leave no detail uncovered is fantastic. And Ashley is such a pro with regard to conveying her thoughts. And I I love her thoroughness. It's like I'm an extremely thorough person, and I tend to spend way too much time on things. You guys know that. You must like it because that's why you watch this crap.
Why you're here.
But that's it. I love that. I love how thorough she is, and she's not wasting words. She's using all the right words, but explaining things thoroughly. It's so good. You guys are going to love it if you bought it. So, but by the way, I'm talking about Ashley Harwood's
turning
bowl turning series that we're going to have in the guild.
And it's releasing in
February.
February? Yeah.
She's going to turn 3 different bowls. We're going to talk about, we're going to spend an entire video on tool sharpening. We're going to do some chainsawing. What else? We're going to do some finishing and twice turn bowls, natural edge bowl. It's going to be so good.
There are 2 Andy Sims in the chat room.
Now that's weird.
Right now.
That is weird. You guys should play along.
And in fact, one of them just did a super chat and said, "What grit do you use in between coats of paint? Do you use sand after the final coat?"
I don't do anything between coats of paint.
Do you sand paint?
You can.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, you sure can. I don't really paint that often, so I'm not the best person to ask about that. If I were using a paint that liked to be sanded, I would probably treat it like just about any other finish. And depending on how rough the surface is after that first coat might dictate what grit I use. But if it laid down fairly smooth, I probably would hit it with a 220 or a 320. Paint lays down much thicker than other finishes, so hitting it with 320 if it was like a 220 and it was a clear coat, you can do that, but eventually you want to get up to a higher grit. With paint, you get a full lay down, a full layer of new material on top of that. So I think you can get away with a lower grit there. This is just me kind of like freestyling on an answer because I don't actually do this very often, but that's what my instinct tells me. And would I sand the last coat? Hopefully I wouldn't have to. That would be my hope.
Someone asked if Ashley has a YouTube channel, and she does not, does she?
I don't think she does.
But she has an Instagram account.
Her Instagram is pretty active.
What is her Instagram? Is it Ashley Harwood?
Ashley Harwood. At Ashley Harwood.
At Ashley Harwood. Is it hard or hard?
No, it's not hardwood.
Sorry.
Nicole.
Sorry, Ashley.
Whoa.
That's not her.
That is definitely not Ashley.
No.
Dang it. I'm going to have to look. That is an Ashley.
Yeah, that's not the Ashley.
That's not the one that counts.
That would annoy me so much.
She's Ashley Harwood. A-S-H. Oh, it's Ashley Harwood Turning.
Turning.
I didn't realize that was... all the time I link to her and tag her, I had no idea that the word turning was in her name.
Right. I'll link to it in the chat for everybody.
Yeah, Ashley Harwood Turning.
She goes on some awesome adventures. Like she is just...
Well, she's posted some throwback stuff from like, overseas trips that she's done, like walking through the jungle, getting bowl blanks.
Yeah,
you know, like you
and
do.
she was a teacher, and they taught her, and it was just so cool.
Yeah,
and she posts a lot of videos up there too. So check her Instagram out too.
Yeah.
All right, Harwood. Sorry. Yeah, I know Harwood.
Hey, here's
it would be cool if it was hardwood.
It is logically, you know, like when we discuss her and talk, you want to say the word hardwood, but that's not her name. You know, another thing that I'm going to be doing very soon, once this book debacle is done with, like maybe next week, maybe for the next show, probably going to start promoting some of the guest instructors a little bit more.
Yeah.
You know, not only Johnny but Anne's projects. Like both of those projects, we of course promoted them when they came out, but then we stopped talking about them. And I want to make sure those guys get as much attention as they deserve on those projects.
That table that Johnny built is gorgeous.
Johnny's Parsons extension table
love that
is
table.
A really, really nice one. That's in the guild.
Because he even talks about metal, like welding.
He does welding, yeah. It's got a metal base on it. He's got these big, I think he got them from Lee Valley. Extension hardware that he includes on it. It's a great build.
Did he build that for his family?
I think he built it for his parents.
That's what I was
Delivered
thinking.
it to his parents.
Yeah.
With a reclaimed wood top. It's very different than what we normally do in the guild, but Johnny knocked it out of the park, and his videography and editing skills are top notch. So that's a great one to watch. And then Anne.
Yeah.
All you got to say about one of Anne's videos is it's Anne.
Yeah.
They're fun to watch. She's a delight to be around.
Did you get the animals? Please tell me you got the animals.
She milks goats and then eats the stuff that comes out of their little boobies. She eats the booby juice, Nicole.
Yeah, so do most
She
humans.
even eats the little white things that come out of the chickens' butts.
Yep.
I ate the little white things out of the chickens' butts when I was there. What were you asking? Did I get animals? There's animals in the video.
Yeah, she has her fluffy butts.
I got plenty of animals in her writing desk build.
She has some amazing animals.
This is going very, very long.
Okay, we should probably wrap this up.
It's getting out of control.
Yeah.
Honestly. Okay, well, thank you for watching, everyone. We always appreciate your support.
Yes.
Remember,
I'm going to pick a winner.
EssentialJoinery.com if you're interested in the pre-order bonus.
I'm going to pick.
Let's pick. We've been getting away from the guild project things.
Yeah.
So go ahead, pick a winner.
Because we're giving a free one away.
It's part of the pre-order bonus. But we'll pick a winner for a free guild project.
So
who's gonna win?
Mark Oliver Bastion, who asked us about the skits. We haven't been asked that, so I thought
That was a good question. Well, clearly I had a lot to say about it because I wouldn't stop talking about it.
Mark, I will message you right now.
Snow. It is gorgeous outside right now. There's about 3 inches of snow. It's all wet and slushy. I just love looking at it from the shop window. It's gorgeous out there. Yeah, so thanks, Mark, and enjoy your free guild project. Hey, you know what? If you pick the shaker table, there's a skit in that that the free site has never seen, where Nicole and Nicole and I pretend to be original shakers, and I'm like a little lost guy who stumbles upon the house, and it's really dumb. So enjoy it. All right, I think we're going to close off the show. Thanks for watching, everybody. We'll catch you next time.
Bye.
Peace out. Peace out. He says it's sunny in Tucson, and I miss Arizona.
No, we don't miss it.
Nope, not at all.